and are finding out that, like, hey, there's a problem with them accepting my driver's license photo. You know, I'm submitting my CDL to them. I've done it multiple times. I've gotten several comments. Alright, I'm out here doing these short hops for Amazon tonight. If Lou will cooperate with me, you're a good boy, buddy. You're a good boy. Always likes to communicate with me when I turn the camera on. Wanted to take some time to try to answer some questions I've been getting on this channel a lot lately. I put out a video probably a little over a year ago that was talking about this whole, it was about the time that they started this real-time selfie and that we were gonna have to submit driver's license. And the intended audience for that was basically people who were like already, like myself, like already working for Amazon and had this new step to do and everything like that. That video has since kind of blown up from my channel, as far as there's now people trying to onboard with Amazon and are finding out that, like, hey, there's a problem with them accepting my driver's license photo. You know, I'm submitting my CDL to them. I've done it multiple times. I've gotten several comments as far as, like, you know, I was just going through some of these just to see. I mean, people are leaving comments. Take a great photo of my driver's license. Amazon tells me that my driver's license photo is unreadable. I tried everything, new phone, new email, new phone number, it didn't work. Now I'm in DMV trying to get a new driver's license. Mine's doing the same thing, unreadable, like my 8th time trying. And with all of these people, I've said, you know, like, hey, I honestly don't know the answer to this. I will tell you with mine, I'm not saying I did mine right, but my driver's license and the address on that driver's license matches my business address, like through the Secretary of State of California. In California, you have to have a brick and mortar address. It's to my house. That matches what's on file with the FMCSA. That matches what's on file with my insurance. So, like, if they're gonna verify, you know, my address, and that's the same address that I use with Amazon. So I've talked to some people who, like, you know, I don't know how it works in other states, but like they'll have like a fictitious business address, and that, I don't know if that's the issue. I don't know if that's the problem. That's for people that's above my pay grade to decide. I can just tell you how I have mine set up, and my address matches every which way around. So I you know, I mean, I would suggest if one of those things is not the same, consider maybe getting all of those addresses, unless it's legal to do that where you live, which again, I have no idea. I have asked everybody who has sent me this same message, as far as like, hey, my driver's license, I've done all this stuff. I've asked all of them. I said, let me know if this works. I'm hearing this from a lot of people. I'd love to hear a solution and pass this along. Again, I'm looking for like solutions, not like rumors, not conspiracy theories. One person did write back to me. They said and I'm just going to read this. It says, hello again. I got a new CDL and was able to register for Amazon Relay. It turns out my old CDL had a mark that I could only drive in the state of California. That mark was removed and everything worked. Now, I believe this person. I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to second guess it. I've heard of there being a limitation on a CDL of like, you know, you can only drive, like if you take your test in a automatic, that you're prevented from driving like a manual stuff. I've never heard of there just being like a state-specific CDL, but according to this person, that was their issue, and that's what it took to work. If you do have access to, if you're at that onboarding screen and you do have access, I'll put a picture of this, if you have access to the support center, the other thing that I would suggest doing is creating a new case and letting them know, like, you're having trouble onboarding. Now, the problem with this, and this is kind of like the general problem with Amazon, is they're not going to respond to you. They're going to respond to you on their timeline, and that timeline may not work for you at all. It may be like you may email them and they may not get back to you. It might be a couple of days. It might be a month. There's been times where I've been on a load with Amazon and I've needed their help like right then. My only thing I can do is request a callback, and I'm at the mercy of when they choose to call me back. I wish I had like a number, an email address to pass along. I just don't, but I get a lot of questions from people about this right now. And you know, they're desperate. They want to start working for Amazon. They've done everything right. They've waited their 6 months. They're ready to go, and they're hung up on this step. And unfortunately, I just don't know. I don't have a fix for it. I can tell you how I did mine. I can tell you what that one person wrote back to me. But you know, if you have had this problem and you did find a solution for it, please let me know in the comments. It could help a lot of people. There's a lot of people in this situation right now, and I just wanted to address it like properly in a video, so that, you know, hopefully somebody out there who maybe knows more than I do about this subject can let us know in the comments, and hopefully get a fix for everybody else who's in this situation. And now let's tie this into the waiting game I'm doing tonight. They got this load. It's 3:20 in the morning here on Saturday morning. They got this load, this ITR trailer recovery out here in Ocotillo. I've covered in the past why I would absolutely never book one of these off the load board. If you look and see like where they have this trailer located at, they have this actually in the town of Ocotillo. I promise you, I've done these before. I guarantee you that trailer is not there. I guarantee you that trailer is broken down somewhere on the 8 as the 8 climbs out of like El Centro area and comes up to the top there by like Jacumba or something like that. I guarantee you that trailer is not there. But again, you book it off the load board and it's going to send you to that spot where they have it there in the town of Ocotillo. Guaranteed it's not there. It's somewhere on that hill as you climb out of El Centro. The other thing is, let's see, Miller's Heavy Duty Off-Road Recovery in Copa. Yeah, see, like it's basically what I'm waiting for is for this to go to spot capacity. If it does go to spot capacity, I guarantee you this is like a $700-800 load. That's kind of what I'm waiting for. I'm also waiting to like hear from somebody, because I want the exact GPS coordinates of where this thing is at. I don't want to book this off the load board and then find out that like, oh, I've got to search, you know, 20-30 miles of desert road. The other thing is you can see this load starts at 4 and it's 3:22 right now. They keep booking this back, so I guarantee you probably like 3:45 they're gonna bump it back to 5 o'clock. The problem with that is even then you're still not gonna make it on time. I'm probably an hour and 50 minutes to 2 hours away from doing that. So even these little bump back in times wouldn't even work. The only way that this would work would be like if I went on blind faith and started driving towards Ocotillo right now, hoping that they bump it back till 5, and then as soon as they bump it back till 5, already on the way there, booking it. I'm not going to take that chance for $389. The other thing I want to find out from them is it a mechanical tractor breakdown? If that's the case, sure, I'm all in. You know, $700-800, now we're talking. If it's a driver out of service, sure, I'm all in. If it's a driver who's not responsive, there's no way I'm going to drive out there to be somebody's $175 wake-up call. Me go knock on the door and be like, hey, I'm here for the tractor, or I'm here for the trailer, and they're like, oh my gosh, I overslept. Let me go ahead and get that done. And they end up taking the trailer, and now I'm just kind of like asked out with you know, I call up ROC and I'm like, hey, they were asleep, they took the trailer, now what? And they're like, oh, we'll give you that $175 tonu. Absolutely not. So I'm just playing the waiting game. If this goes to spot capacity and I can talk to a person and we can negotiate that rate a little bit, I might do this. If not, I might go home. But yeah, just playing the waiting game right now. Probably one of my favorite comments I got to respond to came from Chauncey Simmons 4030. Said to me, you know, no videos for a while, everything good. I don't tell this story to brag. I don't tell this story for sympathy. I basically am telling this story as if I could talk to myself from, you know, 4 to 5 years ago when I thought I was winning working as a pharmacist. I'll get to the bragging and to the sympathy here in a minute, but basically in 1991 I took a job at a drugstore. I was a sophomore in high school, needed to get a work permit from my school to work for that drugstore. Now fast forward 30 years, I was still working for a drugstore. Yeah, my job title had changed a little bit over the years. I did different stuff, but basically throughout that whole time working in retail, about every Thanksgiving there would be a sign that would go up on the time clock. And the sign would read something to the effect of, between now and January 10th, January 15th, all time off requests will be denied. In other words, like, this is our busy time of the year, you know. And when I was a clerk, it was like, we need you because this is our busy time of the year. When I was a pharmacist, it's like, well, this is cough and cold season and people are coming in for flu shots and we can't give you this time off. Now, when I was young and broke and didn't have any money, the sign didn't really bother me that much. I couldn't afford to travel. As time went by, got married, had kids, my financial situation changed, and now I could afford to travel. It was, I grew resentful of this sign. Now, the reason I'm not looking for sympathy here is it was my stupid ass that continued to work in retail. I mean, what did I expect? They need you there. You accepted the job. That's when you got to be there. But, you know, as time went on, I did grow resentful of that sign. And so when I broke out and kind of decided to, you know, let's be done with the drugstore, let's be done with the pharmacy, let's try to do my own thing. One of the things that, you know, when I was sitting there making a list of like assets, liabilities, that type of stuff, as far as like what I wanted out of trucking, and this is where I don't mean to come across as bragging. One of the important things to me, and one of the things I've done for the last 3 years, is I take off time at Christmas. Again, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that as like, that has always been something that's important to me. That's something that was denied to me for 30 years. And I guess I feel like I'm making it up to myself. You know, like, I'm self-employed. I save money throughout the year. I work hard throughout the year so that, yes, I can take time off at Christmas. So if the content has seemed a little lighter during this time of the year, it's because I've been taking time off. I did need to do some stuff on the truck. I mean, during that time off, I did had a little radiator leak. Kept filling up kept putting coolant in it, and there was no leak in the hoses. But basically what I found out is when the temperature would increase, there was a little tiny crack that the coolant reservoir had developed a little tiny crack, and it would like squirt out. So needed to do that. That was something that I absolutely needed to do. And then just some preventative maintenance stuff on the truck. Got new steer tires. I probably had another quarter, maybe 2 quarters that they would have lasted for. Don't like to mess around with the steer tires. They still had a little bit of tread on it. It was like starting to separate a little bit. Didn't want to mess with those. And then my front headlights, for whatever reason, these 2016 Freightliners, to change the light bulb, you almost have to change the whole manifold for it. It's not as simple as just go and pull out the light and put a new one in. And so I changed out the lights on those so that now, you know, especially after getting that front light ticket, I just needed something that was like easy to change, that I could go in there and just swap a light bulb out. So I got both of those done, just kind of like preventative maintenance, making it easier on myself down the road. But you know, if the content has seemed light over the Christmas time, there's a reason for that. I just took the time off. And you know, if you're in a situation where, let's say you're living by that sign on the time clock, and you know, you're like, man, you know, I'm willing to take unpaid time off to spend time with family, but the job won't let me. Just know that, you know, maybe a total career change. I mean, you know, who would have thought that I ever would have been driving a truck? I wouldn't have believed this story if you came to me 5 years ago and said, hey, one day you're not going to be a pharmacist, you're going to drive a semi-truck. I would have been like, what happened to my life? What do you mean? And it's like, now doing this for work, I'm so much happier. I get to pick and choose when I take that time off. And again, I tell this story not to brag, but hopefully to inspire. So I'm going to wear my glasses for this last part because I've been up too long and I look like absolute crap. But the last thing I wanted to add on here is the people who come on and leave comments on the little the load board videos, where they come on and they're like, this looks like absolute crap, you know, who can make money like this, blah 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 blah. First off, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I mean, I respect their opinion. Usually when I do look at those same load boards, it's like 9 times out of 10 I agree with you. The thing is, and I know I've said this before and I'm going to continue to say this, the load board game takes patience. If you know, I mean, you're looking at, when I make a load board video, keep in mind it refreshes every 15 seconds, 4 times a minute. 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, 5,760 variations of that load board you see in a day. You're seeing one of them. If you're basing your decision to jump into trucking off of a 60-second load board video, I will be the first to tell you you're making a mistake. You need to look into it a lot more than that. I'm happy to make them for people, but I would use what happened to me last night as the perfect example. Wasn't planning on working at all. Couldn't sleep. I was going to go fuel up the truck and wash the truck. Planned on working a bunch this weekend. Wanted to be sure it was ready to go. After I got those things done, Amazon throws a little across town. It was $180. It's the kind of thing that I could get done in an hour. And it's you know what? I'm out. I might as well go do that. But again, wasn't even planning on working. Get down. I was from DSD4 down to one of the sands. I think sand 3. Drop that off. Now, while I'm down there, I start paying attention to it, and I notice that they have that trailer recovery out in Ocotillo, and it's man, no way I'll book that off the load board, but kind of all the things I mentioned before. If it goes to spot, I know that's probably worth a $700-800 load, but I want to talk to somebody. So, I decide, hey, I'm going to throw about an hour at this and just see, it's just got time to kill. Well, while I'm waiting for that to go to spot, which it never did, they have another load going on there. They leaving Otay, it went from sand 5, taking a loaded one up to Vista, and then from Vista taking an empty up to Paris. And I'm watching it, and again, I'm being real patient with it. It starts out at 450, goes up to 5, goes up to 550. All of a sudden, the little relay bot starts talking to me. And again, anybody could have booked it at those rates. It wasn't an early access load. It was available to anybody. I'm at the risk of losing it to somebody else, which I'm okay with. And anyway, the little relay bot starts talking to me, and I had in my mind, it's we're currently offering $550. What would you like for it? And I kind of had this $700 in my mind, thinking that that's what the Ocotillo one would go for. And I'm $700. And it comes back, it's please justify why you need $700 for this. And normally when it gets to that, I just hit the X. I'm in chat, forget it. It's not going to go my way. This time I sit there and it's I go back to that creative writing class in high school and I write out a dissertation. I'm the high winds, San Diego, Southern California is experiencing a high wind event as evidenced by the fires that are ravaging LA. I'm not worried about the trip from Otay up to Vista because that trailer will be loaded, but then from Vista to Paris, it's going to be an empty trailer, putting me at a higher risk of potentially blowing over in these high winds, blah, 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 blah. And I submit it and it's thinking. And normally it kicks you back a response right away. It it was almost like there was a person reading it. Maybe there was, I don't know. Thinking. And it kicks back, it goes, I can't offer you $700, but I can offer you $699. And I'm sold. I'm not going to let $1 stand in the way between my pride and not taking that load. So it's yeah, $699, I'll run up there. Get up to Paris. And finally, at I think it was 8:39 in the morning, now that Ocotillo load finally goes to spot. Now, when I was in San Diego, I would have been willing to do it for $700. They were offering it for $440. They called me back, and I'm $700, if I were in San Diego, $700 is fine. But look, I share my location with you. You can see where I'm at. I'm in Paris now. I have to account for those deadhead miles. My price is $800. And they're oh, 700's our max. It's, we can't go above that. And I'm well, and again, I would have been willing to take that. But again, it's it's the confidence to say no, I guess. Being patient with them. It's their job to bring you down in your rate. It's your job to stay firm in it. And it's 800's my minimum. If you can't do 800, then I will pass. And they're yeah, no, I'm sorry, 700's it. And I said, okay, well, hey, I'm still cordial with these people. I'm look, I appreciate you entertaining my offer. I'll talk to you later. Thank you. And right as we're getting ready to hang up, they're well, hold on 1 minute, hold on. And then they're well, let me check with the manager. And whenever I hear that, I kind of know things are going to go my way. And they're okay, we can do it for $800. Here's a night that I wasn't even planning on working for, and, being patient, standing firm on my rates, everything like that, turned this into a, I don't know, $1,500, $1,600 night. So it's kind of yeah, my point there being, looking at a 60-second load board, 95% of my night, if I had made a recording of that load board, I could come on here and I could be like, look at this. How does Amazon expect owner operators to make money on this? How did they look at these are terrible rates. Southern California has these high fuel prices. How did they expect us to make money? I could have done that. But the thing is it's like I'm patient and I pick my spots. And, you know, looking at a 60-second load board clip would do me no good. I need to look at it globally over several hours, several days, several weeks, several months. I've been doing it now for like 3 years. And that's how, and again, I'm not claiming to be good at it, but that's how I put together these nights that I put together. Is it's kind of like, okay, I kind of understand what's going on from my area. Can I guarantee it's like this in your area? I cannot. I don't have the time and resources to study other areas other than where I work at here in, you know, San Diego, Southern California, that type of stuff. But, you know, my point there being those 60-second load board clips, I hope they're helpful, but they shouldn't account for much in your decision as far as jumping into trucking. I hope this video serves you well. Appreciate you taking the trip along with me. Take care.